Hey guys, it's Cody back here once again, and today I'm going to be starting something new on my channel. This is going to be the first review where I talk about one of my favorite childhood movies. And these are, going to be movies that I've grown up watching, movies that, when I was younger, I would always pop in and enjoy, and, these are just movies that I would watch over and over again growing up, and they basically become part of me in some sort of way, Whenever I think about a good family film or a good kids movie to watch, then these are going to be movies that I would always pop in and enjoy. Like I said, as you guys know, I've recently done a top 10 favorite family films, and I think a top 10 favorite childhood movies. So a lot of movies that I'm going to be talking about in these reviews are going to be movies that I've listed in that. So, yeah, I'm going to go and get started. The first movie I'm going to talk about is one movie that I saw back when I was very, very young. And it was a movie that actually got me into really liking baseball. I'm not a huge fan of baseball now, but back when I was younger, I really used to enjoy baseball. But the movie I'm going to be talking about is probably my favorite Walt Disney live-action film. And it is Angels in the Outfield. And this film stars Danny Glover, Tony Danza, Christopher Lioyd, and Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Yeah. And so yeah, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give like I said, a full review of the movie, and I'm going to tell you guys why I enjoy this movie. Basically, the movie follows this young boy named Roger, who is played by Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and he lives in a foster home with his friend JP, who's right here, and of course, he ended up getting separated from his parents. His mother actually died years ago, and basically he's left there by his father. His favorite baseball team is the California Angels, and they basically are on a losing streak. They haven't won a game in literally years, and they're considered, one of the worst baseball teams, in the league. The team is managed by George Knox, who is played by Danny Glover, and this was one of the first movies that I ever saw any of these people in. So when I first watched this movie, I didn't really know who any of these people were. So this was basically my introduction to all these different great actors. But Danny Glover, like I said, he is the coach of the Angels. And originally he had a baseball career, but unfortunately he ended up hurting his knee really badly and was unable to play. And he is known for having a really bad temper. Of course he talks down to his teammates because they're always, his team members because they're always losing. He's always had an angry streak. He's mostly known around, the baseball, basically around the league as just being this really angry, just, not somebody that anybody would really want to work with. He basically was just given the Angels. Roger and JP still go to the Angels games. Unfortunately, they don't have really enough money to go to the games, so they end up, sneaking in. When the movie first begins, you're introduced to, of course, the woman that looks after them. It's, like I said, him, JP, and another boy. And her name is Maggie, and at the beginning of the film, she tells him that his father's there to see him. And when Roger first sees him, his father's sort of sitting there, and he's got a black leather jacket, and he's smoking a cigarette, and he doesn't really look like, I guess, he'd be the best role model for him. And he ends up talking to Roger, telling him he tried to do the best that he could, but since his mother was dead now, he really couldn't do much for him, and that's why he put him up for adoption. And he asks him if he understands, and he says he does. But Roger, of course, being an 11, or I think he's 12, being a 12-year-old boy, he really doesn't, he only understands to an extent. Well, before his dad rides off, he has a motorcycle, and right before he rides off, Roger asks him, when are we going to be a family again? And jokingly, his dad says, when the Angels win the pennant. And, to an adult, of course, he's saying that because he figures the Angels will never win. And saying that, he's basically saying it's never going to happen. But to Roger, that's him thinking, oh, well, if the Angels win, then my dad will come back and things will be better. Well, later on that night, he ends up praying to God, and he basically asks, if you could come down and maybe help the Angels start winning games, then they could be a family again. And the next day, both him and JP end up going to an Angels game. They get in for a kids free thing, and while he's there, he starts noticing actual angels coming down from the sky and helping the players in the team. And basically the angels are just coming down and like I said, just helping them, help him win the game. And that's when Roger then meets Al, who is played by Christopher Lioyd. And next to Back to the Future, this is probably my favorite Christopher Lioyd movie. But he ends up meeting Al, and Al basically tells him that nobody can see the angels or hear them but Roger. And basically they're just there basically to help the angel, help the baseball team win and start winning games. And from that point on, they start winning games and they start getting popular back in sports. They begin dominating the sports again. But yeah, and then of course some things start to happen. Roger ends up telling George Knox, that angels are helping his helping his baseball team win. And of course George doesn't, he thinks that the kid's crazy. But as things start happening, things start getting better. But and he starts being nicer to his teammates, and he starts believing in his team as well as the entire rest of the town. Because they believe that of course they're doing this on their own. And of course the Angels, they begin, I guess you could say soaring, if that's cliche to say, but they begin soaring to the top of the baseball world, and they begin winning games once again. Of course, as things go on, something happens that ends up sort of stopping that, but I'm not going to give that away. So yeah, this is a solid family film. When I first saw this, I'll go ahead and address this. I wasn't very religious. I'm not a very religious person. When I was younger, I would go to church. I would go to Sunday school, and I was okay at embracing it when I was younger. Now that I'm older, I don't really do that. But when I saw this movie, of course it was about angels, and it was about, I guess, God helping the baseball team. But at the same time, this is one movie that even if you're not religious, this is still a very enjoyable movie. So don't get turned off because the whole movie is about angels coming down from heaven, because it still is a great movie. It's a very, it's got a lot of great characters. Like I said, Danny Glover is great as as George Knox, and Al, Christopher Lioyd. Like I said, this is probably my favorite movie. This was the first movie I saw him in, and this is the reason why I love him, is this movie. Another cool thing is Tony Danza also plays, he also plays the star, basically the star of the team called Mel Clark. And this was before, when I was younger, this was before I even saw Who's the Boss. So I didn't know who Tony Danza was. I didn't know who any of these people were, but after I saw that and I saw how good of an actor he was, and then I saw Who's the Boss, and I was like, oh yeah, that's the same guy. I thought Tony Danza played a great character. He was, of course, at the top of the baseball fame, and then something happens and he started losing. But he's considered, he's one of the pitchers of the team, and of course, as the movie goes on, he ends up, coming through and becoming a great pitcher again. It's really great, a really uplifting story. What else? There's also a character named Ranch Wilder, and he's like this announcer of the Angels. He announces over the radio or whatnot, and he's a real jerk in the movie, and he's the reason why George Knox couldn't play anymore, because he actually caused him to have an accident on the field. He ends up basically kicking his leg and causing him to lose his ability to run as fast in the baseball team. And I remember his character being really over the top and really crazy, And he would always, like there were two other people that worked in the little radio box that they had on the field, and he wouldn't let any of them talk in it, and he was just a real jerk and everything. But yeah, like I said, if you got family, if you got kids, I would definitely recommend watching this movie. It's a really uplifting movie. Really, really heartwarming. Definitely one of my favorite childhood movies. It's a really, really great story. It's got a lot of family elements to it. It's a really, really, really great movie. And I'll definitely recommend this to anyone and everyone. Angels in the Outfield is definitely one of my favorite movies. And yeah, it's really great. So, this is the new DVD. Well, not new. This DVD, I think, has been out since the 90s. I also have the really, really old VHS right here. And as you can see, it is all just ripped up and everything because it's so old. But yeah, this is the tape that I would watch the movie on all the time. But like I said, Angels in the Outfield. If any of you guys out there have seen it, definitely let me know what you guys think about this. Because this is one of my favorite childhood movies and one of my favorite family films. And I would definitely recommend this to everyone. So yeah, leave a comment down below and let me know what you guys think of it if you've seen it or if you guys plan on seeing it. But anyway guys, that was just my review on Angels in the Outfield. Definitely check it out if you haven't. And yeah, this is going to be one of the first videos I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be doing a lot more reviews on my favorite childhood movies and family films, so stay tuned for those. I'm really going to be changing up my channel. There's going to be a lot new reviews on kid movies and childhood films I'm going to be doing. But I'm also going to always throw in a horror movie every now and again. But anyway guys, I want to say thank you for watching, thanks for subscribing. I have like 327 subscribers now, which that is awesome. Thank you guys so much for that. It really means a lot to me, to see you guys liking and commenting on my videos and whatnot. It's great. And if you guys want to, or if you guys haven't already, you feel free to add me on Facebook. I'll leave my link to my Facebook page down below. I'm always open on adding people that like my YouTube videos, and anybody that wants to talk about movies, definitely hit me up. Anyway guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.